Major, this is really unusual for the United States to reveal where its submarines are. Why are they doing so now?
No, it is, Elizabeth. It's an Ohio-class submarine. It's not nuclear capable. It's more or less a Tomahawk type weapon system that fires from sea to land. So, won't really help out the air defense platforms that are there as well. It is clearly just a show of force to say that it's possible that you get to U.S. forces hit, let's say, targets in Lebanon that Israel deems that are critical because they pose a significant threat to them. We have got to be really careful about Israel dragging us into this extended conflict now. I mean, we support them obviously militarily, but there should have been some red lines that we should have been addressed right away. For example, don't kill the negotiator. That Henye, the person that was killed in Iran, was one of the negotiators, and now the Biden administration is just kind of stuck because that person is not there anymore, and Sinwar is not the kind of person that's going to negotiate. So we've got to be careful that Israel's not going to drag us into more of an extended conflict at this point.
David, you're also finding the fact that the United States is telegraphing that it's sending this submarine, which, by the way, has 150 Tomahawk missiles on board. Today, Britain, France, and Germany all urged Iran to show restraint, but U.S. intelligence shows that it's, quote, increasingly likely an attack is coming in a matter of days.
Correct. I think all signs show that Iran is going to do something. In fact, it almost has to do something. The supreme leader said they're going to do something. He ordered the government to retaliate. The new president has said they're going to retaliate. They see this as a provocation that they killed Hania on their own territory when he was a guest of Iran. I think, as you mentioned, it's really interesting that we've said that we were sending a submarine there. One of the values of a submarine is that you don't know where it is, and we don't usually tell our enemies and adversaries where our submarines are. So it's obviously meant to be a deterrent. There are also two aircraft carriers now in the region, or one is on the way, and there's one there already. So the U.S. is preparing to help Israel respond. What we don't know is whether Iran is going to do something in order to retaliate but not escalate, or whether because of the gravity of what it feels was an invasion by killing Hania on their own territory, they will do something significant that results in significant Israeli deaths. And then almost certainly Israel will counter-retaliate, and then it could be a significant escalation. Netanyahu is not in the mood to be reserved. We know that. And he's striking out in many different ways, trying to take out leaders of the proxy forces of Iran in many different places. And he's retaliating and responding and doing revenge attacks when he feels it is necessary to signal to all adversaries everywhere that we'll hurt you more than you hurt us.
Yeah, you've both brought this up. Netanyahu is a wild card right now. He's now publicly feuding with his own minister of defense. He's not listening to President Biden when he urges caution and restraint. The U.S. will defend Israel, but we don't seem to have any control over what Netanyahu was doing, and even members of his own government are concerned about many of his moves.
I think, Elizabeth, for example, if Iran does respond with overwhelming force, especially from Hezbollah to the north, that he'll use this as a way to open up that other front of the north. I think he somewhat wants to do it because he feels this is the time. They're in a war posture right now, and the United States has got the firepower there to help them as well. So they're going to lose as well. Hezbollah will lose significantly if these missile attacks come from Iran. But Iran still has the most to lose because if it does escalate to David's point, they're going to respond 10 times. They're going to respond disproportionately, likely going after Iranian targets coming from Israel.
But the point is, David, everybody's counseling caution here. The United States has been urging restraint, has been warning we've got a lot of firepower in the region. If you don't, show restraint, the European allies are urging restraint. Even some Arab leaders are urging restraint, and yet we have no control over, A, what Iran will do, but almost more importantly, B, what Netanyahu will do in response.
That's right. Iran is sort of in a catch-22. I don't think they want a full-scale war with Israel because they won't come out of that okay. But they have to do something. And in April, when they responded to Israel, they lobbed a number of rockets and missiles
more than
at
300.
Israel. Yeah, exactly. A lot, but none of them hit, right? They were all taken out by Israeli air defenses and U.S. air defenses. Could they do that again? Yes. Would it be kind of embarrassing to have a second time where they actually had no significant damage to Israel, no casualties? It would make them look weak.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.